What is good, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video. We're here for part 2 of my 2023 NBA offseason grades video. And in this video, I'll be talking about the Eastern Conference teams. Now, if you notice, I said this is part 2. This is the Eastern Conference. If you have not watched part 1 where I talk about my grades for the Western Conference teams, please go check that out. But I need to go through some disclaimers before we get really in-depth with this video. This is grades based on what they did in the offseason. My example, the Denver Nuggets. While they are the defended champions, offseason-wise, I feel they did very little to nothing to improve their team, so I gave them a D+. And I might be the idiot when it comes to that, but it's just like I felt they didn't do anything offseason-wise to improve, so I gave them a D+. But my grade is based on what they did in the offseason. And if you remember, and you've been watching my videos, I made a whole series talking about things I wanted to see in the offseason. If a team did that, then I feel I'll give them some bonus points. Next, I'm not the smartest when it comes to the draft and everybody that got drafted. But if I mention somebody that was drafted, it probably means I know something about them. So I'm not going through every single draft pick in this video. And last but not least, I have the highlighter. If I have mentioned the highlighter, it's something of special that I want to make note of. So we'll see that when that happens. So like I said, let's get through the next 15 teams, the Eastern Conference teams. And here we go. The first team I'll be talking about, I just shook my whole table. Let's try that again. Here we go. The Boston Celtics, the first team I'll be talking about, I gave an A. They traded for Kristaps Porzingis. They gave a big contract to Jaylen Brown, the biggest in NBA history. They did lose/trade away Grant Williams and Marcus Smart. The main reason I gave them an A, their team, I don't know if their team is better. I think their team might be at the same level. My concern when it comes to the Celtics is they gave away their heart and souls of the team. What I mean by that is the two guys that when you look at them on the court and when they play, they give their all on every single play. They do the little things. They try their best to keep a play going. Grant Williams and Marcus Smart. They don't have either one of those guys now. So I don't know if they have found that replacement out of what they've added or if somebody's going to pick that stuff up. And I do think that might be a little bit concerning for the Celtics. Also, you need to see them in the finals. If they don't make the finals, I feel it is I don't want to say a failure, but it's just like, Jesus Christ, we keep going through the same thing over and over again. But they got an A. They traded for Kristaps Porzingis. It's very rare that when you see a team make a trade, they get the best player and get picks out of it, which that was the case. So I like what the Celtics did this offseason. My concern is with not really Porzingis. It's just like the team overall. Or we're just going to keep seeing the same thing over again. Also, the first highlight of the video, Malcolm Brogdon. If you don't remember, he was the guy that was supposed to be traded in the Porzingis trade and ended up being Marcus Smart because the Clippers were concerned with Malcolm Brogdon's injury. So now that means he's still at the Celtics. If I was Malcolm Brogdon, I'd probably be a little offended because you try to get rid of me, but I'm still here. So I think that's a weird situation that no one has made any discussion about, so that we'll just see down the line. But I think Malcolm Brogdon, he just won Sixth Man of the Year. He's still a contributor. He just didn't have the best playoffs because of his injury. So we'll see what happens there. I just feel that's kind of getting swept under the rug. Next, the team I'm wearing in this video, the Brooklyn Nets. They re-signed Cam Johnson. They drafted Dariq Whitehead with the 22nd pick. I really like their signings. They signed Lonnie Walker, the fourth. I believe it's the fourth. Dennis Smith Jr. and Darius Bazley, all guys that fit the timeline of the players there and will contribute and could get, most likely, will be getting minutes next year. They did trade away Joe Harris, which, to be fair, I don't remember him hitting a single three in the playoffs last year. But when it came to what I wanted to see them do in the offseason, I said answer the Ben Simmons question. They kind of haven't done that. Everything that we've heard is like Ben Simmons is progressing well and he should be back to normal. But I don't know how he fits with this team. I personally, like defensively wise, Bridges, Simmons, and Claxton, all former defensive player of the, or I thought Ben Simmons won Defensive Player of the Year for a second, but he didn't. He got second place. But all our former candidates for Defensive Player of the Year, like on the court together, they should be locked down defense. But it's just like, I don't know, like offensive wise, if that's the greatest situation to be in. We shall see. But it's just like, answer the Ben Simmons question. They kind of haven't, but I don't think there was something that just like, that needed to be answered. I wanted it answered. So, I gave them an A-. I think they had a great off season. Next, the New York Knicks. Now, I'm starting to laugh because I tried to film this video and I deadass called them a different name, but if you want a hint, it rhymes with Knicks. So I had to stop the whole video because I couldn't stop laughing. But other than that, I gave them an A. I will admit, in my things I wanted to see happen in the offseason video, I said they should probably trade Julius Randle, which, if you're a Knicks fan, depending on what day of the week it is, you'll probably agree with me with that. But that's just not the most logical or realistic thing to happen. So they did do something that was great in signing Dante DiVincenzo, reuniting him with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, the two best players on the Knicks. Sorry, Randle. But they traded away Obi Toppin, which I will talk more about him once I talk about the team he got traded to. So I gave him an A. They didn't do anything that, like, blew me out of the water, and it was just like, yes, it's going to be such a top-tier team next year, but they didn't do anything that was, like, crazy and just, like, downgraded them. So I got him an A. Also, this is not a highlight, but it's a small little note. What are they going to do with Evan Fournier? He is on a big contract, and he either wants to play or be somewhere else, and I just think it'd be weird to, okay, we're going to pay you. We're not going to play you. So, will they ever answer the Evan Fournier question? I think at the deadline, at most, they will. Next, the Philadelphia 76ers. Whoo, boy. I made a video months ago, before the playoffs. And I was like, this is the Sixers' last chance. And I was mainly saying that because, at the time, Harden was rumored to leave to go to the Rockets, which, obviously, as of right now, still hasn't happened. I doubt it happens now. But it's just like, I don't know what the hell this team's going to do without James Harden or a guy to replace James Harden. And at this moment, James Harden kind of did what I want. I wanted this team to move on from Harden, but at least find a replacement. And I just don't think there's going to be a world where we get that. Because as of right now, James Harden has requested a trade. He only wants to go to the Clippers. Again, I'm not going to go fully in depth with that because I anticipate at some point we will see a firm conclusion. And once that firm conclusion comes, that's when I give my opinion on it. I'm talking about their off-season related stuff. Also, another highlight. Hi, Nick Nurse. I'm intrigued to see what the hell you do with this team. But I gave them a C-. Now, I don't remember what I said they should do in the offseason, but it probably proclaimed to upgrading or moving on from Tobias Harris because just somebody always has to get the blame. And player-wise, it always seems to be Tobias Harris. But it's just like seeing this team over and over again is literally insanity because they still have not made it past the second round. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And again, in the playoffs, you're up at home against the Celtics to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And a Heat team, I'm not going to say they're beatable, but a Heat team they could have pushed and possibly could have made the finals. But you couldn't do crap in Game 6, and you definitely didn't do anything in Game 7. So, all season-wise, they re-signed Paul Reed and Montrezl Harrell. From something that I read, they want to play Paul Reed as a power forward, kind of in a Chris Boucher role, like because Nick Nurse is coming there, which slightly makes sense, especially with re-signing Montrezl Harrell and also signing Mo Bamba. I'll give the Sixers credit. They always do a great job of signing a great backup center because we've had Andre Drummond, we've had Montrezl Harrell, and now we have Mo Bamba, which as starters, you question it. As backups, it should be decent. Their main contribution is Adam Patrick Beverly, who fits the Philadelphia mold and does a little bit of everything, which I like saying. But I gave him a C- just because this James Harden situation is very messy. It's very similar to the Damian Lillard situation. So it's just like, I'm stuck in the middle because I don't think we're done talking about this team. And like I said about Damian Lillard / the Portland Trail Blazers, maybe I'll come back down the line and change this. We just got to see when that time comes. Whew! Next, the Toronto Raptors, a team that I don't like. I'm just ready for their core guys to move on. And one of those core guys has. Fred VanVleet has now left the Raptors and now is a Rocket, which I've obviously talked about, meaning that there are two guys there that are left. Now, we don't know what the hell they're going to do. So my highlight for the Raptors is, what about OG and what about Siakam? All of last year, the first half of the year was talking about OG Anunoby as the greatest defensive player in the league because he started off so great. And then he was hurt, and it's just like, okay, we're going to trade him because he has so much value. And they didn't want to accept any trades, and they're just like, yeah, we're going to keep him, yay. It's just like, Raptors, I feel it became so stubborn that I just don't like them. Pascal Siakam, they like him, they value him, but again, he's always in trade rumors, but I think what's likely is going to happen is he's going to get his extension, then he's still going to be in trade rumors. I don't want to compare him to John Collins because Siakam is a multiple-time All-Star, one-time All-Star, maybe two-time, definitely was a champion or is a champion. So it's just like, with the Raptors, it's always something questionable or something that I hate that's going on. But they drafted Grady Dick with the 13th pick, who a lot of people like, and we shall see what he does for this team. I don't think he'll be bad for this team. They signed Dennis Schroeder to replace Fred VanVleet, which to some Raptors fans is an improvement. That could be debatable. They also signed Jalen McDaniels, and they re-signed / brought back Jakob Poeltl and Gary Trent Jr. So as a team, on paper, it's a B-. They didn't do anything terrible, but I won't lie to you, I wanted to see OG Anunoby at the most on a different team. Siakam, maybe. It's just, I just don't like the Raptors. That's just me being a little bit biased. But once they make some trades down the line or win a title, I could eat my words or enjoy what they get back for the guys I want to see traded. Next, the Chicago Bulls. I gave a C+. My highlight is something that all Bulls fans will say, and almost all NBA fans. They miss Lonzo Ball. And when Lonzo Ball was on this team was like the number 1 seed. They were on fire. They were great. And then we just sadly have never seen him again. And sadly, there's a possibility we never see him again. And Jevon Carter, I feel, has a lot of contributions and similarities to Lonzo. But Lonzo obviously is the one on the bigger contract and the better version. But Jevon Carter is not a scrub and is somebody that can contribute and has been contributing for the Bucks. So that signing is great. They re-signed Nikola Vucevic. But the main reason I gave it a C+ is because a lot of people were just ready to see this team move on, eat the L. When this team was first assembled with DeMar and Vucevic and Lonzo and Levine, it was great. But it's just like, hasn't been the same since Lonzo left. You probably would benefit from moving on from some guys, which they haven't. They did bring back Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, and Andre Drummond, but it's the same thing. It's to an extent the same thing I said with the Sixers. It's just repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. This, I don't know. You didn't even make it past the play-in, so it's just something that I question, and I think this is a team, once we get to the trade deadline, we'll be talking about a lot. Next, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They re-signed Karis LeVert. They did a sign and trade to get Max Strus. They also drafted Emoni Bates. He was the 41st pick. Will he play for this team? I don't know, but he did good in Summer League, so I want to make note of that. I'm giving him a B+. It was definitely very difficult for this team to make some dramatic move to improve or go over the top at the small forward position, but Max Strus literally is just on a team in the finals, will most likely be the starting small forward next year, and most likely will be able to hit shots and contribute. So I'm going to give them a B+. They didn't change this team dramatically, but now that they've been in the playoffs with Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, their main guys. Also, they have Donovan Mitchell, which the main reason I didn't want to mention him is because for some reason, I'm not going to say he's in trade rumors, but people want him to be in trade rumors because they don't expect him to come back. And I don't think his contract's expired until 2 years from now. So I don't know why we're having this discussion now. But like I said, I'm giving the Cavs a B+ because I like the addition. I don't hate the addition of Max Strus, but I don't know how much further. I think this team can make it out of the first round. So maybe I should have been A-, but I'm just staying with a B+. Next, the Detroit Pistons. My highlight: Monty Williams is the new coach. I don't want to say it's a new era in Detroit, but I think again this team's going to be better this year than they were last year, mainly because Cade Cunningham is going back. They did trade for Joe Harris and Monte Morris. They drafted Ausar Thompson with the 5th pick, which I know Pistons fans hated. They got the 5th pick because they sucked last year and they fell to 5. I think I'm at B-. Again, nothing over the top was done for this team, but nothing made this team worse. But we'll see what happens with them. You know, it is what it is. Next, the Indiana Pacers. In my series where I was talking about things I wanted to see happen in the offseason, I didn't really go in depth with the Pacers because I didn't really know what the hell they should do. Tyrese Haliburton is one of my favorite players. And it's just like the Pacers are in a good direction. It's just like whatever happens, happens. But especially as long as Tyrese is on his rookie deal, which this is the last year of it, I don't think they should have the highest expectations. But the Pacers like, screw this. We going now. They signed Bruce Brown to a massive contract, I believe $20 million a year. They traded for Obi Toppin, which I love that. The power forward position's kind of been the question mark for that team, and Obi Toppin's somebody that's going to fit them. And, you know, Lob City, I guess is the best way you can describe that. And they drafted Jarace Walker with the 8th pick, who I think can contribute towards the team. So I'm going to give him an A. It's very simple. Like I said, I didn't talk a lot about the Utah Jazz in my off-season expectations video. And the Indiana Pacers, like I said, in the same situation. It's just like, I think both teams are in the situation where whatever happens, happens. And if it's great, which it has been for them, they're all right with it. So, same grade as the Jazz, which I think I gave the Jazz an A-. A-. This is the same thing. You passing. Next, the Milwaukee Bucks. I did highlight. They have a new coach, Adrian Griffin. Is it Adrian Griffin? That's what I wrote down. It's something Griffin. My question, my other highlight, is can they move on from Grayson Allen? I'm mainly saying that because what is etched in my mind about the Milwaukee Bucks is an elimination game where Grayson Allen is taking the last shot and he doesn't even take the shot because the clock expires. But the main thing I said was the Milwaukee Bucks need to keep Giannis happy, or at least keep the guys that he won a title with on their team. And they did that because they re-signed. Yeah, it is Adrian Griffin. I'm not an idiot. Anyways, they re-signed Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez and Jay Crowder. He wasn't on that title team, but he's been a contributing factor in the playoffs before for the Suns. So they re-signed their guys. And I think the most underrated free agency signing, and again, I might come back down the line and like really in depth, but I think the most underrated free agency signing was Malik Beasley. I would have liked the team to sign another point guard, but it's nothing that's going to keep me or keep them awake at night. So I'm going to give the Milwaukee Bucks an A. They did what I wanted them to do. They also had a underrated free agency signing, but it's just like health is going to be what gets this team to that championship level again. Because when they were in the finals, everybody was healthy except for Giannis, who was hurt. He was even hurt. He was the best player. So we'll just see once it comes because the past 2 years, injuries screwed them. So that's their main concern, which obviously they can't really do anything in the offseason about that. Next, my next 2 teams I've given 2 grades for because I don't really know what to take away from it. The first of those teams are the Atlanta Hawks. They traded away John Collins, which I wanted them to do. He's been in trade rumors for so long, just trade him away. But I wanted them to get something back for him. They got Rudy Gay, who they ended up trading. I don't even know what the hell they got back for him. They re-signed DeJounte Murray, which that was just kind of a common sense thing to do. Or at least they could have traded him to get a massive improvement, which I don't think that was logical or possible. And they still have Patty Mills, and they signed Wesley Matthews. I wanted to give them a B- because they did the thing I wanted them to do. But I think I'm going to stick with a grade of C+, because I'm in the middle. They didn't do anything to make this team go over the top or even better than they were last year. But they did the thing I wanted them to do, you know. It's just, we're going to have to see. So right now, the grade is C+. I think I'm going to stick with it. The next team, the Charlotte Hornets. I want to give them a D+. Just because, A, I want them to move on from Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier. And maybe logically there was no good trades to do that with. They also drafted Brandon Miller with the second pick, which almost anybody and everybody that's talked about it has hated that and said that they will regret that. So logic says, hey, that was a terrible draft pick. I'm going to immediately give them a low grade. They've also, as of right now, I believe Miles Bridges is supposed to come back. I still don't know what the hell is going on with that situation, but it is what it is. I'm not talking anymore about it. So I do want to give them a D+, but I'll just give them a C- just to be slightly nice. I'm a nice guy. The next team, the Miami Heat. I gave a D+. They signed Thomas Bryant, Josh Richardson, and Kevin Love. But they did not replace Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. Maybe, I guess Josh Richardson, at his best, maybe could be one of those guys. I don't know. He did play for the Heat before and was great there, but he ain't been great since he left the Heat. Thomas Bryant, it's very funny, he was on the team that was opposite of them in the finals. And like I said, I gave him a D+ because this is something that I would have said last offseason, but I just never got the chance to. They did nothing. It is, you could go into the playoffs like, yeah, we don't care about the regular season. We care about the playoffs. We're going to give her all in the playoffs. You could say that once the playoffs come around and you actually do it, but to have that mentality, I think is bad. But obviously, I do have to make note, the highlight for the Miami Heat, they wait for Damian Lillard. They wait for this situation. So this is something that I might have to come down the line and change. But based on everything that they have done right now, I said a D+. Next, the Orlando Magic. They drafted Jett Howard with the 11th pick and Anthony Black with the 6th pick. They waived Bol Bol, who didn't really play the second half of the year. It is what it is. They signed Joe Ingles. I will admit, I did want them to make some big move because I feel they have the assets and they over-exceeded expectations last year. But again, it's probably not the smartest thing to jump the line, wait your turn, and wait to see what happens. I do have the highlight of, will there be a position logjam with Anthony Black, Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs, and Cole Anthony? We shall see. I don't really know. Again, we'll see. I think, worst case scenario, they can move on from 1 to 2 of those guys and still make an improvement out of it. So I'm going to give them a B-. They drafted well. It's nothing that I think is going to make the team worse. Again, I think at best they stay the same, but obviously you'd want to be better. We'll see when it happens. Now, the last team, the 30th team, the Washington Wizards. The last highlight of the video, obviously. They were the only team to blow it up. Every offseason, we go into it like, yeah, this team should be completely different next year. And as of right now, the Wizards are the only team to do that. So I will give them kudos for that. Even though I look like an idiot now in saying this, I was like, I wouldn't mind them running it back one more time because, every offseason, they make some type of move that's just like, oh, this could be good. Last offseason, they traded Contavious Caldwell-Pope for Monte Morris. I'm like, they have a point guard now. They have a starting point guard now. I think this is going to help them. Now, obviously, I look like the idiot because KCP helped the Nuggets win the title, and Monte Morris couldn't help the Wizards make the freaking playoffs. And I was like, maybe they still have one more move where it can contribute to the team, which obviously that's not the case. They're like, yeah, we ready to move on from 2 of these guys. Those 2 guys being Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis, which, depending on who you whatever you think, you're like, they didn't get anything for him. Porzingis, they got Tyus Jones, who, as a Grizzlies fan, we love Tyus Jones, and he is a great player. Is he an all-star like Porzingis was? Obviously no, but hopefully this is Tyus Jones' opportunity to start at point guard like we anticipate. They technically traded Bradley Beal for Chris Paul, which they ended up getting Jordan Poole out of, which, depending on, a lot of people are like, oh, it's terrible. But if y'all remember, last offseason, Jordan Poole was the hottest thing since sliced bread. There is so much Jordan Poole praise and he's the best and spoiler, I'm not a big Jordan Poole fan, but it's just there's so much praise. It's now a year later, it's the opposite. But now he's in a different situation where I don't want to say it's his team, but could potentially be his team, where the Warriors, it was most likely never, ever going to be the case. It is what it is. They also re-signed Kyle Kuzma. They traded away Monte Morris. They still have Landry Shamet and Danilo Gallinari. Will they play for the team? I don't know. I want to give them a B+. They made dramatic changes to the team, and I don't think this is going to be the worst. Some people think this is going to be the worst team in the league. I don't think so. We're only going to have to see. So we will see when we see. So I went through all 30 teams. I have a lot more off-season related things I'll probably need to talk about. I'll make a standings and awards prediction at some point. I don't know when the hell that's going to be. One video I was looking forward to make that I'm going to have to wait a while to do is answering the GM survey. I'm not going to say every offseason, but I noticed it last offseason. They released like a general manager survey where all the general managers go through and answer questions. So I was like looking forward to that because they released the questions and the most popular answer and whatnot. So I was going to get my own version of it. But I looked it up and it didn't happen until like October. Guess what? We're in August right now. So I'm going to have to wait a while to do that. But whenever that happens, I plan on making a response to that. So those are like the two like NBA related videos I'll do. But like I said, got some more NBA related stuff to talk about, obviously. But the rest of this week will most likely be wrestling related because it is SummerSlam. I always do an ROH review. There might be other things that happen. We shall see when it see. I was gonna say when it happens. When let's back that up. We'll see when we see. We'll see what happens. That's it for this video though. Thank you for liking. Please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.